All right, guys, before I start this video, I want you all to remember one thing, right? I've said it over and over again, and I want you to remember this. If I see a number, then there are other people on this planet who also see the numbers. It's a matter of when they tell you and when I tell you. That's the only difference we have. We all see the numbers. So other than that, let's get into the video. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I want to, first of all, congratulate everyone for holding on to BTC for as long as they have, right from the bottom of the market to now. And today we hit the $60,000 threshold, which is brilliant. I've talked about how we had a range. We just went blitzed past that, which is brilliant, right? So we passed the 58K, and then now you can see what the market's doing. And it's only a matter of perspective, right? How many percent the market moves. Now, before I get into anything here, I want to give you guys a little bit of a disclaimer. This is not a financial advice, whatever you're about to hear. But I do want to kind of warn the community about some numbers that I see. And I want you guys to take note, right? Take note of what you're about to hear or see, whatever, right? I'm not going to show you the charts, but just understand where I'm coming from. So the BTC is like currently at 60,400. We do have a minor resistance at around 61,284 to be precise, right? I'm giving you a freaking precise number, but that's where the resistance is. And then we have this psychological barrier, a zone, right? Which goes all the way up to 68,997. So I wanted to make everybody understand that from the 61,200, whatever you want to call it, 61, 62, doesn't matter. There's this psychological barrier, which is pretty much just a little bit more than 10% in a pump, if we do a pump, of that barrier. But we have to kind of calm down, right? This is what I want to warn everybody, right? What everybody needs to understand. I know the weather, everything changes just rapidly, instantly. You don't know what's going to happen. Markets are also volatile, and they will change at any second right now. But it's always good to have a logical hat on, be calm and be patient and understand what the market's about to do. I've talked about people setting up your stop losses. I've talked about people setting up the trailing stops, right? Regardless whether you do that or not, expect what's about to come. That's the most important thing, right? So looking at the charts, looking at the candles, believe me, you can't see the patterns. I don't see the patterns. So when I do my crazy maths that I do, I talk about it quite a bit. The crazy maths tells me we must come back to $58,000 to $56,000 level, right, in order to calm the market down for the bigger moves. So those of you guys who are hopeful to see 100K BTC, right, or hopeful to see this pump continue, right now we need to expect, and we definitely wish, right, we want the market to come back to around 56K to 58K. It's very important for us to come back and test that level before we move up, because anytime we move up, we need to create a sufficient level of support, right? Without a support, we do not want to move forward. And right now, we don't have enough support in the upper band, obviously. But ideally around the 56 to 58K, there is a zone there. I've looked at the lower time frames, and we do have a sufficient level of support there, and I would love to hold that. Of course, the best level of support we currently have is the 53 to 54K. So ideally, I would love to see that as well, right? But I just want everybody to understand that that's the levels that we are expecting for the market to find a little bit of support before it moves forward. However, if the market decides that it doesn't want to stop around the 56, 58K and it wants to push forward, whatever it does, it needs to build a support around the 61, 62K. If it doesn't, guys, this is dangerous, right? Because what goes up will come down. Like previously, when we had the all-time high, funnily, the body of the candle wasn't at the $69,000 level. That was just a wick. That's how high we went, and we got rejected. And because it's a psychological area, we are going to face that again. But this time, the same thing could happen. But what I'm saying is the bull market's not over. What I'm trying to say is it could then push us back down a little bit more faster and more aggressively. We don't want an aggressive move, right? So if we can protect ourselves on a higher level around the 56K, 58K, even the 60, 62K, that's a protection, right? So we know that we have this barrier that we formed up, right? And now, nothing can take us below that. That's what we want. Because now that the market's getting closer to that level, a lot of the traders and, the leverage traders and everything, like all the crazy boys out there, right? All the degens, literally, right? They're going to come out and they're going to try and trade that 62 to 69k or whatever, 68,997 whatever. But the point is they're going to come and try and trade that. That's where the risk is. So knowing that, we need to know where we can have a cushion and we can, relax, rest, and then move back forward. So any movement we do in the markets, guys, is very important. We need to understand this. Now, also, one other thing I want to talk about. While the BTC has been pumping, of course, other coins have been kind of lagging, but catching up, following through, not as much as BTC, because remember, the market is mostly sentiment-based, emotion-based, and trend, and even momentum-based, right? But mostly to do with narratives, right? If everyone's moving on to BTC, everybody wants BTC. And believe me, last few days, I've had more calls come to me, right, from people who want to buy BTC. I mean, seriously, you want to buy BTC now? So earlier on today as well, I had another person, he wanted to buy BTC. So I said to him, I said, look, you can buy BTC, that's not a problem, but wouldn't you rather wait for a dip? Think about it. You can get a few more Satoshis if there's a dip, right? So just wait for that. Be calm, be patient, wait for that dip, then pick up the dip. Don't buy right now because you're going to go in right now with the FOMO emotion, right? You don't want to do that. So, of course, calmed him down. He's okay. He understands that, okay, it's better to buy the dip because you get a few more Satoshis, right? And he's only buying a fraction of a BTC anyway, like quarter of a BTC, whatever. But the point is, more Satoshis, more BTC. So I hope, he does well. He doesn't do any mistakes or anything like this. But you got to stay calm and understand, guys, look, the market's doing what it needs to do. Let it do it. But at the same time, we also need to kind of manage our risk. And this is all part of managing your risk. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, when BTC finally takes a breather, takes a step back, right? Because BTC is leading. We all know this. It's the king. It will stop at one stage before it does its second wave, right? I'm going to call it a second wave. But when it does this, there's a lot of you guys who have talked about altcoin seasons. So what we're looking at is altcoin season, right? So the altcoin season is about to come. Now what you're going to see is a lot of the alts, a lot of the legacy coins that I talk about, a lot of the small caps, the mid caps, the blue chips, they are going to shine. Because once BTC takes a breather, goes and rests whatever level, the money will be flowing into the alts, and that's when you're going to see some of the largest, biggest gains that are coming. This is one of the reasons why I said this is not a financial advice. This video is not financial advice, right? But you will see the largest percentage of pumps coming in right now. Again, guys, I want you guys to, be calm, right? And look at the market for what it is. And if you've made profits or if you've broken even or whatever, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Please, for God's sake, put your stop losses on or move them up so you can lock in those profits. If not, put your trailing stops up or whatever, right? Whatever you can do, have a strategy. Right now, do not look at other coins. Do not look at any other portfolio. Oh, I'm going to increase my portfolio, right? None of that. Right now, the only priority you have is to go out there and make sure you lock in those profits and you keep that money that you've made right now, because you are going to need all of that next season. If you want to increase your portfolio, you want to get better at it, you need dry powder. You need to get to that level where you can get that dry powder, right? So my advice to all of you guys is, as I said, not financial advice, do whatever you want, obviously. But if you, I'm just saying, for God's sake, just save the funds. Don't FOMO in and then think, because what's going to happen is the whales or whatever, whoever's going to be responsible for pumping these coins is going to pump them one by one and move very fast. They're going to pump, move on, pump, move on, pump, move on. And that's the time you got to take those profits. You got to lock those profits. So if there are coins that you've been holding for the last 6 months, maybe a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, maybe since the last freaking bull market, right? And if you've come back to a level where you're comfortable to let it go, let it go. That's all I'm saying. Let it go. Believe me, right? You need to get that emotional control where you have to let it go. Doesn't matter what that coin is. Or at least take your initial investment out. You're going to need it next round, right? You're going to need it next round. And I can't say this enough, and I don't want to shout and scream about it all the time, because I'm like a broken record, constantly telling you guys why. Because I've seen it too many times where people go in and their emotion takes over and they believe and they get possessed, right? Oh, I think the market's going to go up even more. Yes, it might do go up a little bit more. So what? You need to keep that money. What's the point you making money if you haven't cashed out the money, right? I've seen guys who have made $1 million from meme coins, right? Their meme coin trade went up to $1 million, right? but not long after, their balance is to zero or very small amount. And like, what happened, mate? Oh yeah, but yeah, the market crashed. No, you didn't cash out. Market didn't crash. Market will crash, right? That's what happens. Just because everyone's negative now, you call it a crash. A crash is a crash, right? That's it. Write off, gone, right? This is not a crash. This is the pattern you need to understand. What goes up will come down. How far it comes down is a different story. So there was someone, I think yesterday, they mentioned on a Discord, do we think BTC has a possibility to go to 200K? BTC has a possibility to go to $1 billion, right? We shouldn't look at that right now. We should look at the levels where we are, right now, and what's the next level for us, right? So we need to take it in steps. Steps means it could be a 5K step, a 10K step, a 20K step. We need to understand these steps, right? What are the steps it's going to take? And all we have to do is factor it in using a compounding method. So if we say we're going to do 5% per week, for example, we compound 5% on top of whatever we have already, the price, and then we go based on that and we say that's the probability, right? So let's not go ludicrous and say, oh, 200K, 500K, $1 million, $1 billion. None of that matters. These are dream numbers, right? We would love to see them, obviously, right? And we might even hit those numbers if the entire financial system crashes today, right? If all the money in the world goes to zero, then BTC could be worth $1 trillion by all means. But we're not looking at those numbers. We're being realistic, right? And we're trying to lock in the profits. That's what our main goal is, right? If that makes sense, right? So that's the main important thing, guys. That's why I've been shouting and screaming about it, guys. We're getting there. It's definitely coming. Whatever number we get, 100, 200K, none of that matters. It doesn't matter because we've all entered the market and we picked our coins at a level when the market was the bloodiest. And that was below the $20,000 level, was the bloodiest, right? We all know this. It was the bloodiest. There are one or two people I know who have picked it up around the $15,500 or $16,000 level. They have picked it up. Great for them. People like myself, we've picked it up at 16.5. We picked it up at 17. We've picked it up at 19. So when we were going down, we were dollar cost averaging in, right? So we did what we needed to do. On the way back up, when we saw the market moving and the trends changing, we re-entered the market, bought a whole bunch of shit coins or crypto, whatever. Altcoins, right? We bought them, and then now we're just looking at small percentage combined. When you do 10%, 20% on all of them, right? And when you combine the amount of profits we've made, we've already taken our initial out. So right now, at this time of the market, the initial has already been taken out. Does that make sense to you? Right? Your 10K's already become 20K. 10K's already left the market, right? So right now, whatever risk I'm taking, or anybody that I know in the game that I'm playing with, right? We're all taking risks with profit money, but we're still attempting to lock in as much of that profit as possible, right? So the risk is minimized already, 100% risk is minimized. On top of that, now we're trying to lock in as much as possible. Yes, we can go high. Let's see how high we can go. But we also need to keep as much of that as possible, because that's how you're going to be trading like a boss, right? So that's that. I mean, I might even jump into some leverage myself, right? But I'm only going to play with small amounts. I'm not planning to gamble anything, right? So only small amounts and see where the market goes, knowing what the market's going to do. But I'm only going to do that once the dip comes in. I'm going to be waiting for that dip. Right now, BTC is hovering around the $60,400 level. I can tell you, I don't know what the date is, right? But I can tell you what the time is. It's Wednesday today. I don't know what date. Hold on, let me see. So when it's Wednesday, the 28th of February. Right, Wednesday, the 28th of February. Tomorrow's the 29th. It's actually, it's a leap year this year. So, today's the 28th of February, and the time now is 2:15 p.m. Right now, exactly. And the market is sitting at $2.17 trillion. BTC is sitting at $60,422. Ethereum sitting at 3,300. Now, also talking about Ethereum. Remember, Ethereum is technically lagging. BTC is almost close to its all-time high. Ethereum hasn't gone to its all-time high yet. That means next move is going to be Ethereum, and all the alts are going to be led by Ethereum. That's the altcoin season, right? So Ethereum's going to push forward to its maximum price and then probably attempt to create a new all-time high, while all the other coins also follow through. And when we're talking about all the other coins, I'm not talking about the 3 million coins out there or the 2 million plus that's listed on CoinMarketCap. I'm talking about the blue chips, all right? Yes, they will also move. The others will also move. The 3 million coins, they would also move as well. But just be careful what you pick. And if they have moved, take your profits out. Here's a good one, Pepe, right? I can show you a screenshot on Discord if you want to see, right? When I transferred my Pepe from another account that I had, right? And I took a screenshot. It says Pepe received. I received my Pepe. I've been sitting on Pepe for the last couple of days because I'm actually already in profit. Pepe, for God's sake, I bought Pepe, right? But I didn't buy it at the top of the market. I didn't buy when Pepe was launched. I bought it during a bloody time. And I'm actually up massively, massively up, right? So that's Pepe. Do you know what I mean? So think about it. Even myself, if I see an opportunity, I will pick up some of these shit coins that I don't even believe in, right? But if it makes me money, why not? Right? If it makes me 40, 50% in a couple of days, I don't see a reason why not. Do you know what I mean? All I got to do is take my initial out. I'm still the boss, right? So that's the key here. You got to understand, right? You have to be able to let it go, right? So for me, I've been busy last few days, to be honest, and I only do what I preach, right? So if I've been preaching it to you, I've been doing it myself. I've been busy setting up trailing stops and stop losses, moving funds from one exchange to another, like favorable exchanges. What I mean by that is if there's an exchange that doesn't have a stop loss, I don't want to be there. Do you know what I mean? If I had it in a wallet and I don't want to keep that coin, I need to move it into an exchange which does have a stop loss, you know, at the minimum a stop loss, right? And then I'll move the stop loss up every single day as I go along. And if there's an exchange that allows me to do trailing stops, of course, I'll move some coins in there and also use trailing stop. You might turn around and say, well, why don't you send everything to the same exchange? No, I don't want to risk not having access to all my funds in one single exchange. So that's why it's diversified. There's not a single exchange that I'm using, multiple exchanges for multiple assets, right? And there's multiple techniques, but at least the minimum, as I said, I need to have a stop loss, right? Which means I can move it up. And then when the market reaches a certain level, it exits me out. I'm happy to keep the profits, or a trailing stop. So whatever it is, and it depends on what kind of currency it is. Also, most exchanges don't interact with some of the coins. So you got to also understand this as well. Yes, there are reasons why I'm doing it. And then there's a whole bunch of shit coins that I have that doesn't even, I can't even trade. They're not on a centralized exchange. So those ones I'm having to manually configure, manually go and look at it and like, okay, I made profit, right, exit, get out, right? So that's what I'm doing. But yeah, just remember, guys, the numbers are very important. We do need to see a $58,000 to $56,000 level retracement. That would give us a nice support. If we don't, for whatever reason, it's fine. We can break through the 62, right, or 61,200, whatever you call it, or 8,000, whatever it was. Break through and go and create a support there. We need a support because remember, from that 61,284, yeah, we don't have any support, anything at all. It's just a psychological area, right? And that gets risky. And alts are coming right now. So remember, if you are holding bags, alt season is coming right now. So the entire season, I haven't mentioned alt season. Yes, some of the coins did what they did. It was a freaking narrative, people moving funds from one to another. This is not a narrative. This is literally the altcoin pump that's about to come. And it will be led by Ethereum or even Solana, maybe even Binance, right? So there are plenty of other coins, but it will definitely be led by one of those top tier coins, right? And BTC is on another level. So that's a different story. And then when that happens, then you're going to see the next parabola for BTC. So currently we are in a parabola. This means there is no limit to how high we can go, but we also need the entire market to catch up. And when the market catches up, we should see that reflected in the price. The price I'm looking at for the parabola should be around $4 trillion, right? Anything less than $4 trillion, it's not a good move. It's a bit shaky. I don't see the market moving forward, right? So $4 trillion, and my whole analysis is based on the number of coins, right, multiplied by the number of people holding it. So I'm not saying more new people have to come in, not necessarily. All I'm saying is if these coins are there, then these coins should be worth XYZ over XYZ amount of time, and should give us that valuation of $4 trillion. That will indicate that this is a parabola. That will indicate that we are coming to an end of the cycle. Now, we can go to $10 trillion by all means, but at least we know we're near to the end of the cycle. Right now, we're nowhere near the end of the cycle. So don't panic. There's still plenty of room to grow. If you have watched it to right now, I appreciate that. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And let me catch you guys on another one very soon. And I hope like people understand that, guys, making money is very good, but keeping the money is much more important than anything else. All right. So other than that, see you on another one very soon. Adios.